at the IDP camp, detonation of 15 or so to 17 dead. And now, this is my take on this. We were at a conference, a national security conference in Abuja early this month, and we're talking about IDP camps. And you know, a lot of nice papers, at least 2 papers that I listened to were given. And my concern was, what is the governance structure of these IDP camps? A situation where you have 72,000 people are being fed from one point. What are the subdivisions in there? What is the security control in there? Yes, there's perimeter control provided by the military, but what if in the camp, 72,000, that is a city. And, you know, here we are not paying attention to that. So the problem I have here, Chamberlain, is that a lot of our problems, like the courtesan problem you just brought in right now, we tend to be very lightweight or light-weighted about developing solutions. We don't engage in muscular thinking to come up with how we are going to solve these problems. So the problems are looking us in the face. As long as nothing has gone off yet, no bomb has gone off, no active shooter has gone in there, we are okay. And that is not so. You know, the purpose of perhaps security is not to carry dead bodies after somebody has killed them and now wail and say, I don't know why these bad people are doing this, is to prevent there being dead bodies in the first place. So that's my problem here. So it's the same context, you know, very lightweight.
It's an age-long question we need to ask now. Why do we always approach things that way?
Well, because pro-action is not very popular. If you are proactive, if you are very proactive, you are not very popular because nobody sees what you are doing. So we wait for, you know, you don't get any cookies for intelligence successes, but when there are intelligence failures, and then you can get on channels television, then it becomes very fashionable. At least you get your 5 minutes on TV. But you know, if you have successes, nobody will call you. But in successes, because that's the, you know, we have to redefine the purpose of governance. You know, it is the safety and welfare of the people. And once that is understood, strictly in that term, now you understand that the DIQA that happened is a failure of security. It's a failure of intelligence. Who was responsible for that? So I'm happy when yesterday I saw in some papers that some persons are being held accountable for some of the security breaches that happened. Well, that's a start.
Valid questions.
That's a start. You understand what I'm saying, Chamberlain? Sorry, man.
Valid questions ought to be asked because, I mean, when attacks are going on, you have to ask, who do the people call? Or who can the people call? Have the security agencies made themselves accessible? I wonder, for instance, in that Port Harcourt incidents, for instance, when the shootings were going on, could the people have called anyone? Did they have any numbers that would respond to them? Are we working on that at all?
Well, that is a big thing. I think we've discussed it here several times in the past. You know, we must, even when you say, okay, I see a new campaign on TV now, very good one. When you see something, say something. Sure, we've been saying that here for a long time. However, how do you say this something? Now, somebody gives me a bunch, 20 phone numbers, 0802, this, that, 0809. Who's going to do all of that? So I think we should recommend the Lagos module to them. You know, if that do a 767 or a 112.
I thought they said the 112 is national.
Have you tried calling 112?
No, I only tried 767.
Well, 767 works. I have tried it several times. I've tried 112 and it doesn't work. So what I'm saying is, maybe it works sometimes, please. Maybe the day the day I called it, maybe my network wasn't good.
Even at that, we must also make something clear. 112 is not from the Nigerian government.
Oh, who is it from? Sorry.
Don't you think? I think it's provided by one of the telecoms operators.
Well, that's another story. So we need a national emergency call center system. We need that with voice logging. I've said that several times. We need the voice logging because of accountability. Now, she said, who do you call? Okay, when they called, who took the call? What was their response? What was the time? How long did it take to provide the help that was needed? If you remember the ALU 4 You remember there was this thing about the police, how long it took. Even look at Chibok. Chibok, it was said later that there was a call out for emergency, and it took, what, 5-7 hours to respond. I think it's the U.S. intelligence people who are snooping on us that got that information and passed that on. So what I'm saying is, you know, you must have accountability. First, you must have the infrastructure set up. You must have the thing. And this is not very expensive. I've been in many emergency centers in my capacity as a security chief around the world, and I see how it's set up. And it's possible.
The way the police is currently structured, because you've been saying this, I read your articles, and can we currently achieve it as the police is now?
Well, yes, we can, certainly. In fact, you don't even need the police. It's civilians that you need to run this.
Oh, in terms of...
No, you mean the response.
Responding,
yeah, but I'm talking about taking the information from the public, because it's not the police alone that responds. There are so many agencies out there. The police is key, is the #1 crime control agency. But then if you are in the Northeast, you are responding to a Chibok or a Dikwa or let's say Dalori incident, you need the military. You need the military in that situation.
Or more like a coordinated response from those agencies.
Yes, you have to have a multi-agency response, because it's usually the closest person to the scene. But now, if you are up in the Northeast, you have a different problem, because you also need protection and intelligence. Because you have a situation where somebody will make a call out, a distress call, and the agency will go out there and the people will be slaughtered because it was an ambush. So you have to worry about that also. And so there are many things that go into that. But because that one is a conflict zone, we can concede certain more processes to that. But in a normal structure, like what happened in Port Harcourt, or even what happens in Edo State a lot of the times, or around the world, armed robbery in progress, who do you call? You just will, or maybe you stay under the bed and pray and hope that they don't shoot you. Who do you really call? These are the issues here. So I think there's a problem with the whole, like I keep saying, the whole security architecture is wrong. We need to re-architecture our security in this country. We really need to. It's something that you need to sit down and look at on some kind of a board. And it's an intellectual process. It's not a political process, I'm sorry to say. It's an intellectual process. It's not a political process. I think we tend to think everything is politics in this country. It's not. There are people who are not in politics who are committed, like you young people here, who want this country to work well, who are invested in this country. It's not only the politicians. Let me assure you. Sorry, sir.
I want you to put yourself in the shoes of the ordinary Nigerian who's not knowledgeable in terms of security matters, and tell us what you see and how you can feel when you say there's security or there's progress in the war or in the fight against corruption, against the insurgency. If the IDP camp can be attacked, and if you have some couple of individuals or groups who will swoop on some villages, and we'll still hear stories and news about the war against Boko Haram as being maybe technically over. How would you feel? What would you love to see that will make you believe what the government is saying?
Well, I think there's a test for this, and the test is no attacks. Any attack by insurgents, terrorists, whatever you call it, is a failure of intelligence. I say failure of protection, if you want, whatever you want to call it, I don't care, So the real test here is it possible to stop Boko Haram from attacking us entirely? And yes, it is possible. And I've said that before. I've given you my bottom-up structure. Citizen involvement. We need citizens to be out there observing, collecting things, going about their daily lives, because that's very important. I explained it to you that in other countries, like take the United States, that I'm very familiar with, for example, it's the citizens that see things and say to government, but there must be, like what Mwakbe asked, a way of communicating it to the authorities. And then there must be quick response. I think that's who asked me, somebody asked about the police, he asked about ability, the response time, but not be an ability. So even on this panel here, you guys have looked at all the elements right there. So I think as a citizen here, perhaps, well, and I don't think we are immune here in the South. Let me just certainly assure you, because based on the number of arrests that are being made in this part of the country, we know that there are elements here, but thank God they are not operational yet, and they've not been able to carry out any attacks. And I think I want to commend citizens of Lagos for being vigilant, and I want to commend that same structure of vigilance to all Nigerians. You know, we should all really be our brother's keepers. We should look out for left packages. We should be able to use our own 767 that works here well to our advantage. And I want to commend the government of Lagos for sustaining the security infrastructure that we have here. But having said that, I think